So recently, one of the biggest family gaming channels on YouTube, being FGTeeV, known for making family-friendly orientated content regarding Roblox, Granny, Hello Neighbor, and more, is under fire, facing pretty serious allegations by many Twitter users, because FGTeeV Duddy, aka Vincent Carter, has done the horrific crime of expressing his political opinion on the internet. This has resulted in many people insulting him, threatening to burn his books at stores, and even telling him to go to hell, leaving FGTeeV Duddy to be afraid for any potential threats he or his family could potentially receive. Now, this is all pretty crazy because for the longest period of time, FGTeeV was known to be extremely uncontroversial and wholesome. FGTeeV Duddy's always preached family values and has been involved in little to no drama, and for over a decade has raised a generation of people who grew up watching his content. I personally remember watching his Skylander boy and girl videos when I was super young back in the day too. But now he's facing unfounded accusations and allegations of transphobia and homophobia, and I'd like to dissect this situation and give a more nuanced and mature take regarding all of this and offer criticisms where necessary. Now, FGTeeV is relatively active on his Twitter account with over 50,000 followers, and as of recently he has made some tweets criticizing and going against Kamala Harris, and has been in support of US Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. And with all political-based situations, in this specific video I'm making, I am not endorsing nor advocating for either political candidate. I'm a Roblox-based YouTube channel and not a political channel, and I'd much rather prefer to keep it that way, because topics like these can get very messy and they're very polarizing and complex. Now, regarding FGTeeV, the main tweet that sparked all this backlash against him is where he is seen making a tweet stating Kamala Harris is not loving it, under a tweet of Donald Trump working at McDonald's. Now, the backlash he received for this tweet was monolithic, with thousands of users literally devastated that he was pro-Trump and claiming that he is washed and also he had fell off. Now, after this tweet garnered traction, users came out to claim that he was a bad guy or a trash person or a weirdo or someone who simply should be hated upon. And upon finding this tweet, they had also found out that a couple of months back, he had made a video laughing at Biden dropping out the 2024 race on his Instagram, in which many people in the comments of this post had claimed that they would unsubscribe and not support him anymore. So here's a clip of that.
Guys, even though President Biden is the worst president in American history, he has been able to learn to do something that he has not been able to do for years, and we should be proud of that. Just the other day, he learned to step down.
They had also found out in the past that he had expressed pro-Trump sentiment back last year too. And I mean, he makes it no secret on his account. Even back years and years ago, he expressed how he never liked Obama, so he's always remained relatively consistent with his political opinions. But of course, don't get me wrong, objectively and personally, I don't think it's the best idea to conflate your family-friendly brand-affiliated account into the messy topic of politics. No matter what stance you take, you're going to offend and ostracize people and your viewer base, and especially in this election too, a lot is on the line and tensions are extremely high. However, personally, I think the hate towards him is extremely overblown and unwarranted, and I think all this insult hurling is extremely immature because this guy has basically managed to cultivate such a massive fan base with next to no drama for years and has made so many people's childhoods. So I think it's illogical just to negate everything good this man has done, just because you fundamentally disagree with one of his stances. However, that being said, I definitely think FGTeeV Duddy should hold back on making his account so political. FGTeeV Duddy himself as well has expressed how serious the hate is getting and that he is considering taking a hiatus off of Twitter out of concern for potential death threats he may receive, and that's pretty sad to see. I think making comments about burning his merchandise or telling him to go to hell or claiming that he is a horrible, terrible person is a little harsh considering the fact that we barely know what his full stance on any of these situations are. Everyone is basically just assuming. Now, there are some users who are expressing that everyone is entitled to an opinion and it's unreasonable to be this mad at FGTeeV when there are numerous other YouTubers present who are much more deserving of criticism and have done significantly worse than just expressing their opinion on the internet. However, a considerable majority are still against FGTeeV on Twitter regarding this. In my honest opinion, I don't think we should dehumanize any side of the situation here. For example, I have friends on both sides, and I'm not going to dehumanize someone for having a different stance to me. However, all this drama brings me to another problem. Users are claiming that essentially because FGTeeV does not like Kamala Harris and instead likes Trump, that somehow he supports everything that Trump has done, and also somehow unilaterally agrees with all his policies, when that is a completely unsubstantiated accusation. Everyone's just guessing. Users are claiming that essentially FGTeeV is a homophobe and a transphobe with barely any proof whatsoever. Now, the only bit of evidence people have to illustrate that FGTeeV is indeed homophobic is a tweet he made telling Disney and Target to quote-unquote please do better back in late May of last year, 2023, in response to the Pride merchandise controversy at Target and the Disney woke drama of that same year too. Now, users correctly brought up in response to people claiming that he was homophobic for this, that just because you disagree with big corporations pandering towards minority groups for money and for their own benefit does not suddenly mean you're against the fundamental belief of LGBTQ rights. In fact, there is a clip going around of FGTeeV Duddy making a joke about Mike, his son, coming out the closet, and then ending it off with a meme stating, "But there is nothing wrong with that." Here is a clip.
Mr. Mike, you can come out of the pantry. Well, I wasn't gonna say closet.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Now, he could have just chosen not to include that end clip, but he did, because he is literally not against gay people. He's made no inclination that he is. That end clip literally proves how he's indeed supportive of gay people. He literally states there's nothing wrong with that. Sure, his family is a Christian-orientated family, but to call him homophobic and transphobic are crazy claims that need a lot of proof in order to prove the validity of. One tweet lacking substantial context is not enough to make such absurd, exaggerated claims. I find it odd as well to make the insinuation that someone is transphobic purely if they don't like Kamala Harris too. Sure, Trump has spread transphobic rhetoric, which I don't agree with, but a video has gone around recently offending many LGBTQ-orientated people of Kamala Harris literally not being able to state verbatim if she supports trans people having access to gender-affirming healthcare. She literally provides a nothing response to the interviewer, deflects to Trump, and ultimately dodges the question entirely. And don't just take it from me, take it from what everyone else is saying in response to this, and judge it for yourself in this clip I'm about to show.
Let me ask you this question, very broadly speaking here.
Sure.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care in this country?
I believe we should follow the law. I mean, I think you're probably pointing to the fact that Donald Trump's campaign has spent tens of millions of dollars.
They're trying to define you on this.
Yes,
I'm asking you to define yourself, though. Just broadly speaking, what is your value? Do you believe they should have that access?
I believe that people, as the law states, even on this issue about federal law, that is a decision that doctors will make in terms of what is medically necessary. I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor.
So no, objectively, just because you disagree with Kamala Harris with unrelated issues like FGTeeV is seen doing, does not mean that suddenly he or anyone else is homophobic or transphobic, especially when there are videos he's made where he makes his position clear that there is nothing wrong with being gay. On similar topics too, FGTeeV has always been a role model for young children looking up to him, and he's used his platform to the best of his ability to teach his fans that bullying and harassment is indeed wrong. So it would be fundamentally flawed if he was suddenly homophobic, because that would go against everything he preaches, such as his stance against bullying and treating people poorly. That is why it is such a stretch to claim that he is in fact homophobic. Here is a clip.
Let's pause this. I want to talk about bullying. It's not okay. Okay? Watch what happens, right? When I crumble this paper just a little bit, ready? Okay, I crumple it just a little bit. Okay, now the next day, I crumple it a little bit more. Okay, now the next day, crumple it a little bit more. And then a little bit, and then a little bit. And then you keep crumpling it, right? That's like a bully. Keeps being mean to this one kid, day after day after day. Now let's pretend that bully says sorry. That bully says sorry. What would happen? You said sorry to this paper. You try to fix it. You're like, bro, I'm sorry. Is the paper fixed? Can you see that? This paper is damaged forever. It will never be the same. I don't care if you sit here and you try to do this. This paper is ruined. Because of that bully, this paper will never be the same. This is why bullying is not okay.
This situation definitely reminds me of the Scott Cawthon drama where Scott Cawthon, creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, was found to have been a Republican who supported Donald Trump, and he was harassed and doxxed because of his political stance and beliefs, which was absolutely disgusting. And he too was claimed to be homophobic with no real feasible evidence behind said claims whatsoever. Still to this day, people on Twitter wish harm on Scott and claim that he is homophobic. And just like with Scott, FGTeeV is seen having similar rising levels of hate against him, and it's sad to understand the reason why he is putting himself into positions like these. He does so because he claims he wants to combat election misinformation and is ultimately stressed out about the possible election results coming up very soon. And I definitely feel like this entire situation is easily summarized by the pancakes and waffles Twitter dilemma, where you can go on Twitter and say that you like pancakes, and a user will come out claiming that you hate waffles, despite you never saying that. And in this case, people claim that FGTeeV doesn't like gay people merely because he supports Donald Trump, which is completely unsubstantiated. There's no proof he hates gay people. Now, obviously this video is reasonably controversial, and I don't want any insinuation to be made that I am propping up or endorsing any candidates with this video. I just felt as if it was necessary to add sufficient context and inform everyone about this situation. I think the hate and massive claims against FGTeeV is extreme. However, the criticism against FGTeeV of being overly political is a fair stance to take. I think it's best to keep politics out of a kid-friendly brand, but what are your opinions regarding all of this? Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new, and comment your opinions down below. Obviously, this video is not intended for cyberbullying, hate, or harassment or anything like that. This is just an educational and informative video going over the entire situation as a whole, and I'll see you all in the next video. Also, make sure to join my Discord, discord.gg/Parlo. Goodbye.